Bishop Nicholas Hudson, standing here with me in this holy city, looking out across Jerusalem. And it's a beautiful view, actually, in a city that means so much to us. You're here as part of the Holy Land Coordination. You've been coming for half a dozen times or more now, so rather experienced. Tell us where your passion comes from for this wonderful place.
I think I'll always remember the first pilgrimage I came on when we visited Bethlehem and Jerusalem, and I was deeply, deeply touched. It had more of an impact on me than I even expected, really, to be in the places that we don't just associate with, but actually are the places of Jesus' life and passion and death and resurrection, and it was deeply powerful. And I remember as well, part of the pilgrimage was going out to a kind of refuge for elderly women where we were made truly welcome, and it gave me a sense as well of something that I've begun to discover more through the Holy Land Coordination, just how much social outreach Palestinian Christians do, especially for those who are more on the margins of society. And then I was so pleased to be asked to be part of the Holy Land Coordination and begin to get a deeper sense of what life is like for Palestinian Christians. When we talk about the Holy Land Coordination, we often talk about the 3 Ps that describe the essence of what it is. They are prayer and presence and pressure.
And those meetings with those making a really big difference in society for those on the margins, whether it's migrants, asylum seekers, the undocumented, those that have no status in this country, these are very important meetings, but it is actually those parish visits, isn't it? Standing alongside people, learning from them and understanding them a little bit more, understanding the pressures on their lives. I found that the most moving, despite the fact that both components are important.
No, that's very well said. There's something deeply touching, not least about the parish masses, not least about the fact that you're aware in some places that the parish communities have become quite small. And when, with respect and gentleness, you talk to the parish priest about it, he'll tell you, well, yes, a lot of families left because they felt they needed to plan for their children's future. But one of the signs of hope that we've seen during this Holy Land Coordination is the number of people, especially young people, who are saying, whatever happens, we're going to stay. Now, that is a very significant statement for us to be hearing out of Palestine's Christian community, and we're going to have to see to what extent that remains a possibility for them. The other thing that I find really touching, though, is when we actually go and pay visits to some of the communities who are being cared for by people, by members of those parish communities. And I think a real highlight was when a few years ago we were in Bethlehem and we went to visit L'Arche. L'Arche means the Ark, Noah's Ark, and is a community founded about 60 years ago to welcome people with learning disabilities. And there's one just behind the Nativity Grotto, very, very close to where Jesus was born in Bethlehem. And what I find really impressive about it is that it is a mixed Muslim and Christian community. So there in the heart of Bethlehem, they're welcoming Muslim and Christian people with disabilities and really giving them life. And the name of this L'Arche community is Mayan Lat, or something like that, which means together for life. And that really is part of the essence of what L'Arche is. L'Arche says to someone with learning disabilities, you can stay with us forever. And there, L'Arche are doing that. We went as well on another occasion, on another coordination, when we were visiting one of the sites which is thought to be the place of the Emmaus story, and it's called Abu Ghosh. And Emmaus may have actually been in one of 3 places, but Abu Ghosh is one of the 3 places where the story is revered. And I was so touched that alongside the church was another home where women, many of whom have learning disabilities, are welcomed, and again they're being given life. We had another experience of going to a refuge for children of migrant workers. So there's a great deal of this Christian social outreach taking place, and it truly warms one's heart.
And it has been said, but it probably bears being said once more, that a lot of the Christian charity projects aren't just for Christians, are they? This is a complicated region in many ways, a beautiful one, but a complicated one. And you must be heartened as a bishop to see the Christian communities under pressure, providing for way more than just themselves?
I really am, and I think this is certainly a feature of those communities I've mentioned, but it's writ large in the schools, the Christian schools, organised by the Latin Patriarchate, where they are truly open to having Muslims who want to send their children there. And one hears from Muslims who do send their children there something similar to what one hears from Muslims who want to send their children to our Catholic schools in England and Wales. And that is, we like your values, and implicitly, therefore, we want those values to communicate themselves and be communicated to our children. So it's writ large, particularly in the schools, yes.
Now, it would be remiss of me not to point out that this is a bustling, busy, chaotic city. We can hear the trams, we hear the noise, we hear the beautiful bells, and to be honest, the muezzin, the call to prayer, the Islamic call to prayer, the Jewish life and culture is imprinted all over the city as well. It is a lovely place, but many people in England and Wales may not be able to come here. It's not easy to come here. What would you say to them in terms of bringing a little bit of these holy lands back to England and Wales?
Well, I'd want to say straight away, James, that Jerusalem belongs to all of us. And there are 13 Christian denominations in Jerusalem, and it belongs to all Christian men, women and children. But we have to be careful when we say that and how we say that, because one of the deepenings of this coordination, which has been focusing on Jerusalem, the city, as a sacred city, is that we've, I think, been sensitized to the fact that we're not the only ones who say this is our city. Of course, the Jews say this is our city, the Muslims say this is our city, and I think we've woken up as a group to the reality that this is a Jewish city, this is a Christian city, this is a Muslim city, and that calls for us to be deeply, deeply respectful. But it also calls us to witness as Christians in this city and around this city to, well, our conviction about all that Jesus says in the Gospels about loving your neighbour as yourself, that is to be respectful to those of other faiths, but also to have a special care for the poor. And I think Christians both in Jerusalem and around Jerusalem are exemplary in that regard.